Art and life. My God. We're living in the beginning of the 21st century. And you know what disturbs me? Maybe I'm old school or whatever. You got these art terms like art practice, art isms, art career. I mean, what happened to the days when you're just an artist, not with all of these labels that you are, you're succumbed with? I'm like baffled. You need a CV, a resume. Yeah, that's great, but even for an artist, it's the same thing. Then you have a lot of acronyms out there that's been following us in the last, probably the last 40, probably 50 years or less. But I like the good old days when the 1950s, probably not great for civil rights or anything like that, but the terms were very basic and plain. They didn't have all of these isms or any of these explanations of what an artist should be. I'm talking visual artist, filmmaker, even a singer. I mean, this political correctness age and these incredibly complex terms drives me wild. I mean, who wouldn't be driven wild over these class dissection of what art really is? When you look at a painting, you look at it for what it is on the wall. When you look at a film, you look at the film for what it is in the narrative, or how it's put together, the editing, the whole bit. You look at the film for what it is. Yeah, you have some different types of films. Yeah, you have some different types of art. Yeah, you have some different types of sculpture. But everything is just going a bit too complicated for my taste here. Being in this going to be post-pandemic world, I have to say it's amazing the lack of interaction between people because of this COVID-19 thing. We're drawing towards an end. I'm even getting a vaccine after this video. Tomorrow at some point, I have a vaccine to get this immune system up kicking. But going back to the isms and the art world, it's really annoying, I'm like, you have a studio, you paint in the studio. But no, that's your art practice. That's what you put out there and you tell people, yeah, I'm an artist. I paint all these hours. That's my practice. No, you're the damn artist. You do the work. You're good or you're bad or whatever. But practicing sounds really amateuristic in many ways. And then you have career. What the heck? You're an artist or you're not. I mean, what does a career have to do? I could see a career art educator. Okay, I mean, a professor at a university. Okay, that's great. But when you do the work, you're not practicing. You're actually doing the work. The practice are the studies, I would suppose. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really disturbed with these modern terms. I bet I can bet a lot of things at stake out there intellectually. I mean, at the time of Picasso, at the time of Henri Matisse, at the time of the very birth of art and the very change of art because of technology, they didn't have all of this art career business. They were just putting out their work, painting it, showing it to the world, maybe sell it, maybe not. They didn't care. They just painted. They didn't have these terminologies that these millennials have nowadays and this current 21st century dissection. I mean, we might as well put all the artists in a petri dish, chop them up, and say, okay, let's chop liver, chop chicken, let's chop broccoli, let's chop whatever out there in the Italian market somewhere, in some city somewhere. I mean, we're chop potatoes out there. I mean, God, we paint the shit, but damn, when you really think about it, I mean, what has this world become? I can understand the structural within the structure, but when you have structure and there is no structure within the work itself, what's the point? Anyone can be an artist. Okay, granted. But does everyone have talent? Does everyone has talent? I beg to differ. Not everybody. Everybody has a degree of talent. Everybody can be a technician, but do you have the imagination behind the talent? Are you the real person out there creating this stuff? You know, I'm just ranting now because every time I'm listening to videos, going to events back before the pandemic, everything is shrouded around what college you went to, what kind of education you have, based on the paintings that you have on them damn walls. You don't have to worry about this stuff. You don't have to be educated in some cases. You got some super talented people out there that do not need a university to create art. But at the same time, the university is only a big communal place to meet other artists and to actually talk to one another and maybe make a living. I say maybe. We're living in a very corrupt world, even the art industry, which is the most probably, and any art industry, the music, the visual arts, the film. I mean, it's corrupt as hell, but really everybody's judged by their merit and the work that they do, not by what background you have. That does not make any sense. I believe great art is posted in the world without any of that. There are plenty of examples of great artists out there that did not have an educational background. I could name a few, but I'm not going to. I'm going to use myself. I have an educational background. I even have an MFA, for Christ's sake. I studied these terminologies, but it irks the hell out of me. I'm like, what does this have to do with the work that I'm currently working in my studio? What the hell am I practicing as an artist? No, I am an artist. I gotta say, I am a professional artist. That art practice term is really working the hell out of me because I'm not practicing anymore. I've been doing this all of my life. I should know what I'm doing. Although it's an experiment each time, everything's constantly changing. But what's the hell is this art practice mess? I mean, are we students of life? Yes, but we're not student of a university. And then after the university, stop painting and what the hell are you? If you're going to be an artist, you better stick with it. You got to punch it in the face. You got to directly involve yourself with people in some cases, or be nomadic and let the people come to you. I mean, every single artist around the world has different stories and different ways of expression. Imagine doing art in a war-torn country like Syria, or any country that's under a lot of bombardment. Imagine doing artwork there. Imagine what they call art over there, where there's a lot of oppression and there's a lot of violence. I can just imagine what kind of art that'll come out of that, with a real genius back there. And they're there. I guarantee you they're there. And that's one of the things that fascinates me about art. The human condition. Kathy Kollwitz, for example, her drawings and her lithographs and her etchings were a perfect historical document of what happened in World War II during the oppression of the Jews. Then you have artists like Ben Shahn. Wow, a social commentator. He talked about the unions. He was an illustrator as well, but he had his own voice where it communicated to the population and talked about what we people go through as artists. Back in the time, you got you got Hopper. There was a thing back in the 1930s during the Depression. The government, I think it was called WTA or something. And Jackson Pollock was there. I mean, all of the famous artists from the abstract expressionists did make a living from the government to survive, just to paint and eat and to have some type of, but the economy was different then. The life was different then. There was more of a honest, I don't know, some type of genuine attitude towards the artwork. Now, currently, the 21st century, anybody with anything, any kind of background can pick up a pencil, go to the art store and paint, make a mark and say, that is art. I mean, go to school, educate yourself, learn all the terminology, and then that is art. Oh, make a video like I'm making right now and express the inner nature of the soul and stare at the camera. That is art. I mean, what gives? Is there any type of parameters anymore? I can understand the structure and and everything, how it evolves, but at the same time, I don't get it. Maybe I'm old-fashioned. But this video is a certain rant on a lot of these modern ideals after, I would say probably after World War I, after World War II, when you look at the timeline, and then you go to the 1960s, the end of art, then you bring artists like, Anna Mendieta, Carl Andre. There were a couple, they were nuts, but and the death of painting, and then this resurgence in the late 60s, early 70s, when the realists like Chuck Close, Audrey Flack, Richard Estes, at that era, I mean, it's really interesting stuff, but you come to think about it and say, whoa, what the hell happened? It's like back before Picasso, when you had Cézanne and the Impressionists, Van Gogh, and all of these people that actually changed art. But from watching and reading about art history, from what I understood, each period, like the Renaissance, Rococo, they were like insulting each other. It was a funny progression how talent would degrade themselves. Not all art is beautiful. Not all art is something like a Disney movie. Ugh. You know, Disney is wonderful for certain aspects, but when you cannibalize an ideal and you want to sell a product in a corporate way, you go Disney, you go wherever, you know, even Warner Brothers, all of these big companies back, even now, everything's digital, but what happened to actual talent? Can anybody draw anymore? I mean, that's not considered lowbrow illustration, whatever. I mean, what is higher art? All I know, if you can draw, you can draw. There's no such thing between high art, low art. If you got an ability and you're really good at it, damn it, that's it. None of this CV stuff. If you're into the galleries, if you're into the marketing end of it, if you're really good, if you're into even the digital aspect of the photography, the filmmaking, whatever, you're really good, that's what it should be. But unfortunately, there's a lot of eggheads out there that don't understand what the visual language is. It takes an artist, or it takes an art educator, or somebody in the art clique, per se, to help them and guide them and understand what to put on the walls, how to present something in their aesthetic space to give them some type of enjoyment to do whatever work it is that they do. I mean, everything goes hand in hand. Life is so short. For me, as an example, this year has been very, 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 very hard for me, artistically and creatively. I'm conscious of it. I'm not blaming the pandemic. A pandemic and coronavirus has nothing to do with it. It has a lot to do with me. I had a couple of disappointments that happened to me recently, but I'm slowly getting over it. And after this video, my studio is a god darn mess, but I don't care. But after I'm done this video, I'm going to reconstruct everything. I'm going to take the studio apart, put everything, organize it in such a way where when I come in, I'll have all of my supplies set up, and I'm going to be painting as much as I humanly possibly can till I die. I'm an artist for life. I don't know what you are out there, but this is my personal rant and a little bit of history on my feelings towards art. Art is a wonderful thing. It always has been. It always continued to be. Whether this world explodes or stays in one place, I said that before in one of my videos, but we artists record the world. We record history. It's not nice. Some of it's beautiful. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, but the majority of it's pain, agony, anguish. That's what we put on these pieces of paper, canvases, sculpt, film. I mean, most of the videos out there are traumatic journeys. Look at the artwork. Art is not a safe thing, but is a beautiful thing to watch and to engage. I'm gonna leave this notion, and this is for everyone. This is for yourself as well. What do you see? How do you see it? And the very most important, why do you see it? How do you connect to it? And what it does for you. Please subscribe to my videos. I am so happy that you listened to the very end of this video, my very rant. For artists out there and any art lovers out there, you know the deal. You have a great, wonderful life. I'll speak to you in my next video. Goodbye. Have a lovely day. Goodbye.